Hello and welcome to Take You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host, JP John Poz, with a two-man power trip, of course. Joining me, the star of the show, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great today, John. I hope you are too.
Yeah, doing pretty good. I feel like maybe you're doing a little bit better because now another one of your students can claim themselves as a world champion. We can finally announce it officially. Silas Mason, the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. What do you think about this? This is your
Very,
guy
very,
here.
very, very, very proud of Silas. He's worked hard. He's done a lot of uh, introspect and looking inside and seeing what he had to do to get to the next level. And he's done everything he needed to do. He's a unique guy. He's one of those people that when he comes into a room, he's got opinions, and not everybody's going to like him, and that's what's so great about him. He's you're gonna most people love him, and then you have those who don't. But I think it's great, and I'm very proud of Silas. I'm happy for him.
Not that he was ever like a small guy or overweight guy or whatever. I feel like he was always big. He's always a big dude. Now he's in shape. Now he's ripped and he's huge. I mean, he's got to be 6'4" ish. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's 6'4". He's about 6'4". He played Terry Gordy in the Von Erich movie, and he looked good. He looked pretty much identical to Terry.
Yep.
So and their paths are almost the same in a way. I mean, the lifestyle and the rowdiness and the unpredictability and things like that. I mean, Terry was a big, uh, tough guy who got in the ring, and you didn't really know what angle he was going to come at you from. And Silas can be that way too when he gets in there. But he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
I love it. The young gun. You know what I mean? The young guy is ruling the NWA as a world champion. Not an old guy at all. He's super young in the business.
Well, Tom Latimer wasn't that old of a guy, but I mean, Tom's
No,
been
no.
around for a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tom's been around
veteran.
for a while, and I thought he was a Tom was a great champion too. But I think you're going to get some interesting promos and interesting matches out of Silas. I really believe that.
Tom Latimer in the best shape of his life too. I mean, he's jacked to the
Yeah,
nines. He looks like $1,000,000. Looks like the Incredible Hulk. He's so big for sure.
yeah.
But I feel like Silas, he's kind of like that young gun, the brash, maybe Fabulous Freebirds esque kind of attitude. Likes to party, likes to get a little crazy, a little wild.
Well, he does, and he did, but at the same time, for the last few months, we've had conversations, and he's talked about being serious and being taken serious, and one of those elements comes with how you look and how you present yourself, and he's learned how to be a businessman. He's learned how to do what he has to do to get uh, the dreams that he wants accomplished, and when we were training, he reminded me we used to watch some of the old NWA stuff, and uh, I've told him on a few occasions it could be you. I mean, why couldn't it be him? If you look at the roster, you look at any roster, especially NWA's roster. I mean, there's a lot of great talent there. You got Trevor Murdoch, you got Mike Knox, um, Mike Mondo. You got a lot of good talent there. But I think right now Silas proved that he belongs there, and he's had consistently good matches, and he's an interesting person once you get to know him, and just listening to him on TV. I think he's doing great.
The title was actually won. This is crazy. It was at the NWA 77th anniversary show, Huntington, New York, 95 plus days ago. So he's been champ for a
Mm.
while, but it was finally shown on TV. So it was August 16th where he won it. So he's been champ for a while, but it was finally shown on TV on Roku for NWA Power. So it was finally officially announced, this week that he's the NWA champion. So he's kind of been keeping it under wraps for the last 3 months that he's been the champ.
Yeah, and that's the way the NWA wanted it, and he followed through with it, so it works.
Do you mind that though? That it's like, okay, I know old school wrestling, they did a lot of that stuff for tape delay, and the guy wouldn't be champ, but he's on TV wrestling, but technically he is the champ, but it hasn't been officially put out there. Do you like that? It's kind of old school.
Well, personally, I'd rather have it a little more up to date. With the internet and everybody talking about it, it would be better that way. But that's just not the way Billy wants it, and I think he's got the last say so in the NWA doings and business. So personally, I'd rather have it happen when it happens and let people know. But that's not the way it is.
You feel like this day and age with the internet, people are gonna like. Obviously, I was aware of it. I was like, wait a second, that happened. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, so obviously, other people are going to be aware of it too. So the internet kind of ruins that. When back in the day, nobody would really know.
Well, nobody. I mean, you still have people, pen pals, and correspondent with everybody, and people still knew if you were a hardcore wrestling fan. I mean, I was in Texas, and I learned about Bruno losing the title. It was a superstar, I think, and I remember hearing about it. And Bruno was coming to town, making his debut in Houston at the Summit, and I asked Paul Bosch if Bruno was going to wear his belt, and I was there when Paul asked Bruno if he's going to wear the WWF title out to the ring, and Bruno says, "Oh, I don't have the belt anymore. Lost to Superstar," and that was the first time Paul heard about it too, I guess. But I just think that if you were a hardcore wrestling fan back in the day, you could still find out what was going on around the country if you really wanted to dig. Do you remember Ron Dobratz?
No.
He put out a newsletter before anybody heard about the Wrestling Observer called Pro Wrestling Digest, and I got wind of that. And he would print the guys' real names and suspensions and commission stuff, and So I mean, there were hardcore fans even back then.
It is funny, like if you just look at the history of the NWA title, there always has been throughout the history of time where, okay, your guy wins the title, but it's never officially announced that the guy wins the title, like stuff like that. That's what I thought might happen to Silas here. You might get like a, Edward Carpentier, and then Luthez wins it back, like one of those type deals, or Flair a million times.
Yeah, that could have happened, but I think he's in for the long haul.
That's so interesting too, because Gene LaBelle, I remember reading, technically could have been NWA champion at one point, but he lost the title back the same night. Like, but did he really ever really win it? There was like always different things.
Was that the NWA title or the WWE title?
No, NWA title supposedly.
Who did he supposedly beat?
God, it was 1960, so it's a long time ago. Oh, Pat O'Connor. That was it. It was Pat O'Connor was the thing, but then Pat won it back later. But did he ever and wasn't official because Pat retained?
Yeah, well, the idea with Carpentier, that whole scenario.
Well, wasn't that a little bit of a shoot?
No.
Oh no! Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
I don't believe it was. I mean,
okay.
They apparently Lou was going to do a tour over in Japan as the international champion, and they couldn't have the NWA champion gone that long. They needed to do business, and Eddie Quinn was Carpentier's promoter, and he was his guy, his sponsor. So they did the deal. Was it Chicago where he dropped the belt? Wherever it was, Lou dropped the belt to Carpentier,
right?
In a controversial finish, apparently over the top rope or something like that. That was one of the reasons why the NWA instilled the rule you had to win by pinfall or submission. You couldn't, if you threw somebody over the top rope or got disqualified, you would win the match but not the belt. And so when Lou went overseas, Eddie Quinn took Carpentier in Canada and just kept booking him in Canada. Wouldn't give him any dates outside of that. So the NWA decided, well, hell with this. We'll just erase the title win and put it back on Luke.
And Bruno too, right? He beat Buddy Rogers. This is obviously for the WWF World title, basically a year before. Bruno beats Buddy Rogers, but he doesn't want to accept the title. Rogers gets the title back, and then you know what I mean? They kind of go back and forth a little bit, and then eventually Buddy Rogers will lose it to Luthez, but and then become WWF champion, and then lose to Bruno Sammartino. So kind of weird the way that that can happen, and a lot of people don't even realize it's not a part of the official history.
I remember growing up, there were 3 world champions: WWF, AWA, and NWA. But I was in NWA country, and I remember people asking me, how can there be 3 world champions? And then as you learn the history going later on, it kind of went with O'Connor, who claimed a part of the NWA championship, and I think he lost to Vernon Gagne, and they formed the AWA. And Buddy Rogers lost to Bruno, and that formed the WWF. So, I mean, the business shenanigans that went on back then are pretty interesting if you get into it, if you really enjoy the scenarios and the people in it, especially when it comes down to the NWA. The NWA was always intriguing to me because of the Funk Briscoe connection, and how the WWF became in existence.
And then too, with the NWA title, no, all the titles are recognized by Giant Baba, but he wins the title like 3 times back and forth from Harley Race. Tommy Rich wins it, who I just talked to, by the way. He just went on it for 4 days. Harley Race wins it back. Then Flair with like the Jack Veneno thing, Carlos Colon. There's a bunch of different things with Flair too. So the untold history and untold story of the NWA title is kind of more fascinating to me than the WWF title.
Yeah, it's been around longer, and the way they got those guys trying to make a monopoly of it, it really was interesting the way they kept it together for so long. And finally, Sam Muchnick said, "I had enough," and quit. And Fritz Von Erich was the president for a while, and went to Eddie Graham and Bob Geigel, and I don't know who had it after Geigel, but it now ends up in Billy Corgan's hands. So it is a fascinating history, no doubt.
Billy Corgan, a bit of a history buff for wrestling too, which is nice to see.
He does love wrestling, and he's very passionate about it. He's very passionate about the NWA.
Did you happen to see the new Raven documentary, Raven Nevermore, The Raven Effect?
I have not.
Billy Corgan's in it. He actually has a lot of good one-liners that you kind of use for the trailer, if you will, like really good one-liners about Raven. But Billy Corgan is excellent in the doc. The doc is great too.
Well, I know Billy was fond of Raven for a long time. I don't know if that holds true today. Do
you like Raven yourself? Are you a Raven
fan?
Sure,
I do. Yeah, I've always gone along with Raven. I always liked him. He's very entertaining.
Did you ever wrestle him? I could try to think if you guys ever crossed paths. I can't picture.
We crossed paths in WWE.
When he was Johnny Polo.
Yeah, Johnny Polo, but no, I never
wrestled. No. What an interesting guy. Great career, though. Long, great career. Yeah, very interesting guy. So as far as some other things that are going on, I wanted to ask you about this because I don't know if you saw this or heard of this, but there was a wrestler, Tegan Knox. She was in WWE, really NXT for a while, and WWE for quite a while. Now is Nixon Newell, which is her real name. But I don't know if you saw this. People are referring to it as brain rot. Like when you leave WWE, you think you're still WWE superstar, but you're not. And you think you're worth a certain amount of money, or you think you're worth a certain amount of TV time, or you think you are entitled to a push. So people are referring to it as brain rot, which is kind of an interesting terminology there. So she's been working a bit not a bit, but a few times in AEW. And basically what happened was she said, I deserve more time. And, if it's only going to be a 3-minute match, I don't want to do it. Are you surprised by a wrestler kind of not refusing it, but just not wanting TV time?
I heard something about another lady who quit NXT because she wasn't getting enough on her contract. Former Olympian? Who was that? In NXT?
I don't remember. Let me.
Okay.
Look at
yeah. If you want to look it up real quick.
Yeah.
But I mean, I talked to some friends of mine about that, and you can't teach passion. You either love this or you don't. And I know people at the PC are working their butt off and getting paid, I think minimum 75. And some will probably get 100 and 125 a year. Which isn't bad for doing just being paid to train to do something you love or do something you should love. If you get into this, you have to have passion for it to be good at it, I believe. And especially in WWE, if you don't have passion for it, it's going to be a hard day. So I just don't think. I think when some of these people get in, especially the athletes they hire in WWE, some of them think it's easy. Some of them think they're going to be instant superstars and don't necessarily understand what work goes behind that. And I just don't have any sympathy or empathy for them because I know people at the PC right now who are being paid to train every day, and that's their dream job.
Yep.
They're around it. They're in the biggest company in the world. They're around the greatest trainers in the world, and they're right there. All they have to do is learn the craft and be good at it and get better at it. And everybody in that building has their own way of doing things and telling guys how to do things in different ways, but it's all the same, if that makes sense. The basics and fundamentals never go out of style. And I know for a fact that that's what they're teaching there. And yes, you need sizzle with the steak, no doubt about it. But if you don't have the meat and the basics and fundamentals down, then you're not going to have any foundation, and you're not going to have anything to stand on. You're going to get lost, and you won't like it because that's what's grinded into those people on a daily basis, and they do TV every Tuesday. And man, if you're not happy with a 3-minute match, or you're not happy with your pay, well then show them, earn it, and show them that you're worth more, and it'll come your way. I mean, you outwork everybody and go in there and have a great attitude and tear it up every time you get a chance to do it. If you have 3 minutes on national TV, that's your opportunity to be seen and shine. And if that's not good enough for you, then I'm sorry. I have no respect or have no sympathy for you at all.
Isn't that crazy? You get fired from WWE or, released or, whatever, the contract runs up for Nixon Newell. Her and Miranda Alize, they wrestled Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne on Collision. So they're on AEW TV. They lose in about 3 minutes. Okay. Obviously, Bayne and Shafir are part of the War Games team. They're getting this big push. They're like the two monsters of the division. Them teaming together, it's like, oh, you're putting together like two of the toughest girls, and they beat these two relative newcomers. But you're getting a look, you're getting on TV. Maybe you can get yourself over, get a character over, do something to really stand out. So then they have a backstage promo, and they're talking to Anna Jay and Ty Mello, who they're obviously pushing as a tag team as well. They were supposed to wrestle them. They said no because, it's only 3 minutes. Give that time to somebody else. We deserve more time. I don't know. It's like you got released from WWE, and obviously why people refer to it as WWE Brain Rot. You kind of have the wrong mentality there. You still are getting 3 minutes. You're still getting on TV against girls that are getting pushed.
Well, I've stopped and I asked myself many times on this. If the internet was around when I grew up, would I love this as much as I did? And I don't know if I would.
Wow.
Everybody can be a star. I know, again, I know other people. I don't get on Facebook much anymore. I just don't because I can't. I don't get on Twitter much anymore just because I can't. It drives me up a wall. But anybody can be famous for 15 minutes. Anybody can put their opinion out there. And I know one person in particular who just rants about stuff because he's a attention whore, and he wants to get his name out there. He wants to put his pictures out there, and he doesn't care about getting better. He just wants everybody to know who he is, know his name, and knows what he does and has to talk about your life the whole time, man. Um, I don't get it. And then you have people who have the opportunity in WWE or AEW to go on TV for 3 minutes. 3 minutes can make them break you too sometimes. Maybe they weren't that confident. Maybe they just didn't want to go out and do 3 minutes because they didn't know how, didn't feel they could. At the same time, I know people that would give their eye teeth to be on TV for 3 minutes and just get that opportunity and then show their attitude and see what kind of attitude, they have. And obviously they showed their attitude and it pretty much stinks. So, I guess my point is the internet, you can connect with anybody and anybody can be famous for 15 minutes and sometimes longer. But then you get your self-important people who write their stories on Facebook on a daily basis. And I want to say who cares, but obviously there are some people who do care. But I could care less, really.
Now, there's a guy, I won't say any names or anything, but he was working other companies, doing indie shows, been around for a while. Apparently, maybe there wasn't a guy, maybe there wasn't, though I don't want to assume, but maybe there were some guys that didn't want to lose the hook from AEW, young guy, whatever. He agreed, the guy's been around forever, agreed to do it, didn't care, got on TV, job. And guess what? Now he works behind the scenes for AEW. So it's like Sometimes you do something and it catches their eye and they like your attitude. You're like, oh, I'll do it. I'll make him look like $1 million. And they're like, and maybe they talk to you more, or maybe they see something. Who knows? But you agree to do it. You become a team player. You become versatile in saying, yes, I'll do this. No, maybe I won't go that far, but you'll do the job on TV. Like, you kind of make yourself a team player there. This is going to work against her, even on like indie bookings and stuff. I can see people not wanting to book her.
Well, I've always believed the most important thing in wrestling is attitude. And God knows I've had a bad attitude many times, and it happens. But then once you learn, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. Nothing's going to change. It ain't going to work unless you change it. And, you're not going anywhere unless you change it. And that holds true, I think, in everything. It's all how you approach it. And it's easy to get a bad attitude. It's easy to not like a lot of stuff you're presented with, but that's where the work comes in. That's where you learn how to have good ideas and present it as a better idea than what you've been proposed. And if you listen to some of the old school guys, or listen to a promo with Steve Austin, and he was talking about, or he was on a podcast, and he was talking about being presented with things and not liking it, but instead of just saying, "Hey, I don't like this," he came up with something different. He came up with his own thing, and that was what got him over. He's wearing black boots, black trunks, black knee pads, bald head, goatee, black vest. There was nothing sparkly about Steve Austin, but you let him run with his attitude and his charisma and his personality. That's what got him over. So, and that was behind the scenes too. He had that way of understanding the business, understanding how to get to know people, and doing his way of manipulating and getting what he wants done. And if you have 3 minutes to go out there and show them that you can do something, and then you come back and you have a good attitude about it, you're right. There are more opportunities than just in the ring these days. And that's why I say you have to have passion and you have to love what you're doing in order to make it work. And I know a lot of people who would give anything to be on, given the chance to have a 3-minute match on TV, and they'd find a way to shine. They'd do something. They'd find one thing in that match to stand out on, and maybe 2 or 3.
Here's the girl. I can't believe I forgot this, because if you've ever seen her, there's nothing, that you would possibly forget about this girl. You'd remember her forever. But Jazmyn Nyx was her name in NXT. Jade Gentile, a professional or soccer player, was really good at college as well. She quit basically NXT, wanted more money, wanted more TV time. She wasn't getting it, so she quit. And it's doing a lot of stuff on social media and different things, and not valeting, sponsoring stuff and doing different things as far as that. But yeah, she quit. She wasn't getting enough TV time and wasn't getting enough of a push, I guess, and wasn't getting enough money.
Right. Well, I know other women who've done OnlyFans once they leave WWE and
Right.
AEW and things like that. And that's not for everybody, but if they can make more money doing that, more power to them. I mean, some people don't have the passion, like I said, for this business. And if you don't, then it's going to be long days. And believe me, man, when you're in there taking bumps or learning the basics and you don't really know it and it's foreign to you to begin with, the only way to get where you can speak fluent wrestling is to get in there and wrestle and to do it on a consistent basis and make it where it's muscle memory. And that's why a lot of the drills we do are man in the middle, and it's repetition, repetition, repetition. And if you don't love this stuff, man, sometimes that repetition gets repetitive and what's the word I'm looking for? Redundant. And you don't like it. You're going to feel sore and not in a good way every day. You're going to be confused and you're not going to like the people you're around. And this isn't for everybody. And that's why a lot of people come into it with their eyes filled with stars, and then they start bumping on a ring and they start doing the basic stuff they have no idea about. They think it's all flip, flop, and fly, and it's not. I mean, you have to have a foundation before you start. But once you do that, the ones who love it will stick around. The ones who don't are going to go. And they'll find every excuse in the world why. Not enough money, not enough time. And to me, that's okay. Just leave and don't come back.
What have you made of this Ridge Holland stuff? Other people are calling this a little bit of WWE Brain Rot too. I don't necessarily put it under that category because he got released while he was injured. So he was in WWE, obviously. He was in the Brawling Brutes. He was in the Survivor Series main event with Sheamus. I mean, and Butch. So I mean, he's been in WWE, so he's had a good run. But a lot of people remember him from WWE breaking Big E's neck. Not necessarily his fault, but he was the one that went to suplex him on the outside of the ring, caused Big E to break his neck. He gets down to basically maybe sent down, if you will, to NXT. He decides to almost really take a pay cut to stick around. Then he gets injured while wrestling for TNA, which of course WWE has a deal with TNA or a working agreement with them. Gets his foot injured, the Liz Frank injury, and then he gets released. So what did you kind of think of this? Because it felt like, wow, they're firing the guy when he's injured. I don't know if Vince would have done it, but what did you kind of think of his reaction to it and that whole situation?
I don't agree with firing somebody when they're injured. That to me is not a good thing to do, obviously. But I don't know. I heard he had a GoFundMe, and it wasn't he didn't set it up. Somebody else, his sister or somebody set it up. I think.
Yep.
And that's fine. But I don't know if I would see. I'm one of these people. I don't believe in putting your business out for everybody to know. And I understand again in the internet age, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, people feel the need to tell them what's going on, and that's cool. If that's what your deal is, that's fine. But at the same time, and I hate to say it like back in my day, but back in my day, if you didn't work, you didn't get paid. Now you have contracts, and if the guy was making good money, he should have been putting some away. Again, I don't believe that was the right thing to do, fire him when he was injured. At least let him get better and come back and reevaluate. But I don't know what else to think about a guy who puts everything out there. When there's opportunities. If you can go to the independents, you can go to the conventions. It's just you got to put yourself out there. And I guess just spewing dirty laundry doesn't always work.
He obviously put out a tweet saying he regrets putting that out there as far as getting frustrated. It was against his character. And obviously he regrets it now because, boom, as soon as they heard that, they released him even earlier from when they were supposed to release him. And they were paying, I guess, for the doctor's bills. But now I don't know if they will anymore. So it was almost like, man, he really shot himself in the foot twice, if you will.
Right. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't do. They put stuff out there before thinking it through and what the repercussions will be, and maybe didn't care at the time. I get that too. I've said things I didn't think about repercussions either many times. But looking at it, you WWE, I guess, like you said, paid for the doctors, paid for the surgeries, paid for whatever he needed to get done while he was off, and then just decided to cut him loose. But there's no reason for me to put it on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or all these social media sites. I've never believed in putting your personal business out there just for anybody to see. He goes against my character.
So apparently he wants the GoFundMe taken down. It wasn't really with his approval. It was more of his family kind of getting his back. So that wasn't necessarily him wanting that to be up or out there. He's figuring out on his own. He's figuring out his mortgage. He might be selling his house, moving to a smaller house. So he's figuring things out on his own, maybe privately now that all the other stuff was out there publicly.
Yeah, he's not the only one in this country who's hurting. He's not the only one in the world who's hurting. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are having trouble paying their bills right now. I mean, it's a tough place, and the wrestling business is a cold business sometimes, and it's tough all the way around.
So as far as that is concerned, we'll keep an update on him and see when he's going to return, if he's going to return. I know he's doing a convention in New Jersey coming up, so we'll kind of keep apprised of the situation of what's going on with Ridge. But as far as his wrestling in ring, that won't be for quite a while though. So he'll be on the shelf for a while.
Well, then he'll take this time to heal.
So have you been keeping up with the John Cena The Last Is Now tournament? Have you been keeping up with that?
I've seen some of it. Yeah, I saw the US6 this past week.
How have you been feeling about John, how he's been booked and kind of on his way out here? Because the crowd is loving it, though. But maybe online or not.
Well, that's there again. Everybody has their opinion, but I don't see what all the fuss is about saying Cena's not being treated right. He's not being booked right. I think he's doing just fine. I think they're booked him just great. The match Monday night was everything you would expect and then some, I think. And for a second, I was wondering who he was going to team with, but then he had Rey Mysterio and Sheamus. Wasn't a bad deal. And I like the way he's been booked. I like the way he's gone out.
And I love the Dominic Mysterio match. That was old school, just a heel that the crowd hated, the babyface that the crowd loved, simplistic. I think I like that type of wrestling. It's just, and the crowd's super hot.
Well, again, I watched Javon and Gunther.
Yes.
Same thing. Same old school match with some high flying in there. And Mysterio, he's going to be a superstar. He's already a superstar, but he's going to be a major superstar.
Love Dominic. He's great.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win this thing? I mean, you still obviously have Rusev is still left, Sheamus is still left, Jey Uso, LA Knight, Gunther, Solo Sikoa, possibly Bronson Reed, Carmelo Hayes, depending on that, and then Penta and Balor. Who do you think is going to win this thing?
Well, who are the teams so far?
Well, it's just as far as the tournament, the last tournament. Like, who do you think is going to face Cena last? Who's going to be his last match?
I have no idea, man. I couldn't even begin to guess. I mean, I think it would have to be somebody out of nowhere, a huge surprise, but I couldn't even guess right now.
It is interesting. They had Dolph Ziggler return. I know he loses still to go, but that was a cool surprise. Yeah, Zack Ryder was a cool surprise. So they've had some cool surprises and random guys pop in.
Well, one thing I've noticed that WWE does, and they've done it for years, but especially now that Vince is gone. Even when Vince was there, he would still bring back guys that you wouldn't think he would. But with Triple H in charge, I think he's one of those guys who has his ear to the ground and trying to give people the unpredictable viewing that once was. And bring guys like Dolph back, that'd be awesome. I'm sure a lot of people thought Jericho was coming back, and he still might. You never know. I mean, it's not. We haven't got Survivor Series yet. We don't know, and he might be one of the next opponents. Who knows? I know he's still with AEW, but anything can happen. It's been proven before.
The finals of this last is now tournament. It's going to be Raw December 8th, and then obviously Cena's last match is December 13th in Washington, D.C. The rumor is Donald Trump might be there. Another rumor is Vince McMahon might be there. So interesting to see who's there.
Well, whoever put those lines in the water knew they would get people talking about it. So
yeah,
that's a good thing. But I would be very surprised if Vince is there.
It's weird because Shane was actually in the crowd at the Raw last week, and they didn't even say anything. I don't know if that was on purpose or what, but that was kind of strange because they showed Stephanie.
Yeah, maybe Shane didn't want any acknowledgement.
Oh,
maybe Shane didn't want. Could be.
Do you think there's any heat there with Shane and Triple H?
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I remember, God, it had to be, it was like 2005. Obviously, Shane McMahon was still in the company then, but he was in the crowd, oddly, like watching Raw as a fan. That's when I should have known Hogan was going to come out as a surprise. He wanted to, feel the reaction, I think, when Hogan came out. So I was like, wow, that's so weird. Shane McMahon's in the crowd for Raw instead of, behind the scenes. And then Hogan came out as, a big surprise. Like, oh, he probably wanted to literally get out there and feel the crowd.
Yeah, man, it's one thing to be backstage, but it's another to be in the middle of the action, and especially in Madison Square Garden. I like being where you can feel the energy and see it from that viewpoint. That's a great way to look at things.
So as far as this week in Dr. Tom history, have to bring this one up. 1982, all the way back in the late fall of 82 here, NWA National Tag Team title match. You and Brad Armstrong teamed up in Dayton, Ohio for GCW, for not Game Changer, of course, Georgia Championship Wrestling, against the champions Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans. What did you think about this? This is a hell of a match here.
Well, I got to be honest with you. Anytime I stepped in the ring with Afa and Sika, it was a night off. Those guys were great. And it looked like they were ripping your head off. And then anytime I got to either tag or work with Brad, it was great. So I don't remember that match. Obviously, it was how many years ago?
43 years ago. So it was 1982.
That's a long time. Yeah. So, but I'm sure it was a good match. And I'm sure those guys took care of me and Brad.
That's interesting. You said that the Samoans, it was a night off, so they not stiff because they look like they're killing people. So not at all.
Not with me, no, never. They're pros, man.
Maybe that's the fan in me. I'm thinking these guys are wild. These guys are crazy. These guys are wild Samoans. You can't.
Well, that was the object, especially back then. It was make it look as real as possible, and like these guys were killing you. And while they did that, they took very good care of their opponents. They were pros.
Man, you have a history with Samoans going back decades here. This is crazy.
Yep. Been a while.
You trained one of them. You wrestled a bunch of them. I mean, you had, and obviously trained more than one because you kind of a little bit of Roman Reigns too, right? In FCW. So
yeah,
you have a lot. The Usos. Jeez.
Yeah.
a lot of history with the
Known
Samoans.
Yokozuna, met him in Alabama, and Sam and Samu. Wrecked my car with Samu, leaving Birmingham one night. Side of the road, ran into another car. That was a whole different story, a whole different experience. But yeah, I've known him for a long time.
How did that happen? Was he driving or you were driving?
No, I was driving. A dog ran out in front of the road, or something ran out in front of the road, and we swerved, and there was a car parked on the side of the road, ran right into it. Head went through the windshield. His knee went through the glove box. Yeah.
Wow. Any injuries going on?
Well, we were okay, but we had to get the car towed. And then, interesting story is this guy and his girlfriend came back, and after we hit, we sat there for a minute and said, "Oh my God, you all right? Yeah, I'm okay. You all right? Yeah, I'm okay." And then, like 30 seconds later, this car pulled behind us, and it was a guy and his girlfriend who saw us wreck, and they wanted to make sure we were okay. And no sooner than they were talking to us, a cop pulled up and got out and checked us out and asked us what happened. We told him, and there was a guy, a drunk, who stopped on the side of the road and started flirting with this guy's girlfriend. Well, we were talking to the cop. The cop pulled him over, arrested him, put him in his car, and we called the tow truck. This was before our cell phone, so the cop had to call a tow truck for us. Got that done. The guy took off, and they came back again and asked us if we needed a ride anywhere. And we tried to go to the Birmingham airport. This was after the matches, so everything was closed at that time. No rental cars open. So they took us to her apartment. And here's Sam, this big Samoan kid, and me, and I look like a degenerate as well. And they took us into her apartment. They knew us from nobody. From Adam. They didn't know us at all. They let us stay the night and took us to the airport the next day to rent a car. 5 years later, I'm working the territory in Birmingham. This is in Georgia, or this is when I was working for Georgia, and I came in and worked that night in Birmingham against Wayne Ferris. 5 years later, when I'm working the territory, I'm in a bar in Birmingham at the Radisson Hotel on ladies' night. And it was a Wednesday night. And I see this girl looking at me, and I'm thinking, this is good. And she came over to me and said, "Excuse me, are you a wrestler?" I said, "Why, yes." She says, "Yeah, did you wreck your car here 5 years ago?" That was maybe my boyfriend who picked you guys up. I said, "Oh my God, I was going to send him a thank you note and all this other stuff, and I never did." And yeah, so it's funny how karma works.
Yeah.
You don't know, it'll come around. Yeah.
That's crazy. They didn't know you were wrestlers, and they took you in.
Well, we told them once we got in the car and talked about what we were doing after the matches and all that stuff. So, no, they didn't have a clue who we were, though. Sam hadn't even started wrestling yet. He just rode with me because I was supposed to go from Birmingham. We're going to Pensacola, and I was going to stay with Sam that week, and then we're going to do Mobile and Pensacola, and the whole week was down on that loop. But yeah, it was crazy.
Did you buy her a drink at least that night?
Of course I did. Yes, I did. Her boyfriend, they were still together. She was just out with some friends, but yes, I did buy her a drink.
Nice. You should have bought him a couple drinks. Jeez,
I did. I think I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
They really saved you guys there.
Yes, I did.
I would have been a little scared of Sam, to be honest. Not you so much, but scared.
Well,
Sam, yeah.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. That was so crazy about it.
That's awesome, though, that they helped you guys out. Angels, if you will, there. That's great.
Yes.
Next up, let's fast forward to 1984 in Oregon. So you're working for the Pacific Northwest, Adna Wash, Oregon. Dr. Tom defeats Kendo Nagasaki by DQ. Do you remember working Kendo Nagasaki in 1984 in Portland?
I do, because he was in Houston when I came home on one occasion and worked with him in Houston. Toru Tanaka was there. It was he wasn't Kendo yet. What was his name? His real name?
Kendo Nagasaki. Why can I not remember that?
Well, I can't remember it either. But he was Mr. Saito. No, not Saito. Anyway, he wasn't Kendo yet. I saw him in Oregon as Kender Nagasaki. He had this collarbone that was way out of whack. He broke it a couple times and it just stayed there. I broke my collarbone twice. I can relate to that. And but yeah, I remember working with him. He was pretty good too.
Sakaruda.
Sakaruda. Yes. That's what it was.
Man, that's quite a journey here that you're making, because you're in Georgia one year. We're talking about Portland the next. Then in '85, fast forward another year, you and Pat Rose defeated Billy Travis and Tracy Smothers at Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky for Memphis, CWA in Memphis here. So the Heavenly Bodies here, the almost OG Heavenly Bodies, you and Pat Rose defeating Billy Travis and Tracy Smothers.
Yeah, I think there were two other teams called the Heavenly Bodies too. Bobby Fulton's the one who came up with that idea.
Pat Rose, obviously a great tag team partner of yours, maybe forgotten tag team partner of yours.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think about Billy Travis? I feel like we don't talk about him enough.
Well, Billy was an interesting character too. I got along great with Billy. I had a lot of good times with Billy. But he was a hell of a worker, and we always laughed a lot because this was back in the time when we were traveling, I think, back and forth from Dallas, leaving on a Thursday night from Hendersonville, Tennessee, on a tour bus, and drive all night, get to Dallas Friday morning. The baby faces would go to the gym, the heels would sleep or find something to do, and then drive back after the show Friday night and get to Memphis Saturday morning, do TV. But those trips Billy made, man, he was entertaining. Nice guy.
Let's fast forward to 1993, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And again, the Heavenly Bodies, only this time it's a different incarnation of the team, maybe the best incarnation of the team. It's you and the Gigolo, Jimmy Del Rey, losing to Ron and Don Harris, the Bruise Brothers, at the Mulberry Street Rec Center in Lenoir, North Carolina. So Smoky Mountain in 93, losing to the Bruise Brothers. What do you think about working with those big dudes?
Well, I've known those guys, again, since my early days in Memphis. And Ron and Don, two big, rugged ass kickers, but two of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. And they would play with us in the ring and be a little stiff sometimes just to show us. But it was always a good match, and always got along great with those guys. It was pretty cool. And Ron and Don had an easygoing personality until you push that button, and then when they didn't want to be pushed anymore, they let you know it. And I know a couple people who push the buttons.
Oh, really? Who would push
their
buttons?
I don't want to mention any names, but I was one of them.
Whoa! Wow.
Yeah, I got them hot at me a couple times, but we always made up and always knew I apologized, and because I thought we could get away with stuff like that, and we could to a certain point, but then if you cross the line, they let you know.
Damn, you're kind of risky business there, messing with those two.
I mean, well, there was I engaged in a lot of risky business over the last 46 years.
I can see that. Then let's go to 1995. We've talked about this before, but this is a big one here. Survivor Series 1995 from the U.S. Air Arena in Landover, Maryland. The Survivor Series team of the Body Donnas, Rad Radford, Skip, the 1-2-3 Kid, and Tom Prichard before Zip, so pre-Zip, defeating the underdogs Barry Horowitz, Bob Holly, Hakushi, and Marty Jannetty in about 19 minutes there. So what do you think about that Survivor Series team and get the big dub at the Survivor Series?
Well, it was nice to be on the show. Nice to be on the card. Jimmy had other things to do that night, and I was just happy to be there.
Do you think that team is a great team when you look at it? You, Rad Radford, Skip, and the 1-2-3 Kid. Do you like that team?
It was an interesting team. Yeah.
And the Underdog is also an interesting team there with Horowitz, Bob Holly, Hakushi, and Janetti. So interesting team. A lot of good workers on those teams, though. A lot of guys that can go.
I thought so. Yeah.
The sole survivor was the 1, 2, 3 kid, believe it or not.
Oh, it made sense.
You were eliminated first by Bob
Of course
Holly.
I was. Yeah.
Bob Holly eliminated you.
Yeah.
Some
Wouldn't be
people,
the first time.
Some people think that was the best Survivor Series match of the night. Obviously, not best match of the night because Diesel versus Bret Hart was an amazing match. That's match of the night. But a lot of people like that Survivor Series match you guys put together. So good match.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad they liked it.
And that is this week in Dr. Tom history. So kind of run the gamut there. WWF, Smoky Mountain, Memphis, Portland, and Georgia. We were covering a lot of different, a lot of different territories. Nice.
Yeah. And I'm still here.
Yeah, look at that. All these years later, Dr. Tom still going. All right, so let's wrap this bad boy up and head towards the plugs. You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Dr. Tom?
You can email me at Dr. Tom Prichard at AOL.com. Yes, I still have an AOL. And if you want a book, email me and we'll talk about it.
Nice. All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next time for Taking to School